Hi, Roy Williams with Airframe Components, and today's episode is going to focus on non-destructive testing, NDT testing, if you will, of structures, and specifically today we're going to concentrate on the Piper wing spars. So today I have with me Brad Chojnacki and Josh Chojnacki from BJC Consulting in Gobles, Michigan. They've done work for us on different projects over the years. Brad, if you would, you're the foreman of this operation here. Give us a little information about yourself, your experience, your background, how many years you've been in this, your ratings, things like that.
I started in the military 34 years ago. We've been together in business together for 11 years now. I'm an AMP, I'm a pilot, and we've got about 29 years of strictly NDT. I'm a level 3, Josh is a level 2. And we do all the methods. We do eddy current, mag, penetrant, X-ray, ultrasound, and a few specialized inspections like magnetic optical imaging. And we worked on everything from a glider to a 747.
Okay, so now you travel on site to do these inspections, correct?
We do, yeah. We've traveled as far east as New York, as far south as Florida. We've been to California. We just come back from Vegas. We've even been to Hawaii.
Okay. So now when you talk about level 3 and level 2, explain what that entails. How much experience, what kind of ratings does that give you access to?
Yeah, specifically the proposed AD is going to call out that they want you to be a level 2. And that for an eddy current rating would mean you need to have at least 80 hours of formal training and 1,600 hours of documented experience. You also need to pass a 3-part test and you need to pass an eye exam. And that test needs to be accomplished every 3 years. The eye exams have to be conducted on an annual basis.
And then what does level 3 then stand for?
Basically, you're at a position where you can write procedures, review procedures, and certify people.
Okay. So now is BJC Consulting, is that a repair station? Are you signing off as a repair station, as a AMP? Tell me more about that.
Most of the stuff will sign off as under my AMP, but we do work under a repair station out of Brighton, Michigan, Will Air. That repair station does wheels and brakes, and we do all their training and certification for NDT, and in return we work under their repair station.
So you're a mobile operation going on site, and again, the variety of aircraft that you, and I am assuming that you do strictly aircraft. You don't get into other genres, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, through my career, I've worked on other things other than aviation, but as a business, we do nothing but aircraft.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, on this specific Piper AD, they're talking about eddy current, and we have a eddy current. I don't know, you call it a machine or a scope. I don't know what it is here.
Yeah, we've got an eddy current machine. They're very specific again in the proposed AD of what type of equipment can be used. So if the guy shows up to inspect your airplane, he's got a needle type instrument, we're already in trouble. We need to have a modern machine that's definitely a lot more capable and discerns a lot more of the indications that we're looking for. It can discern between corrosion, cracks, out of roundness, those sort of things.
So just for reference point, a machine like this to do this type of inspection, what kind of cost point are we talking about getting into this kind of equipment?
At the level we're at with the machine, the scanner, the probes, the cal standards, I mean, that can be up to $25,000.
Okay, so again, just a mechanic with a dye penetrant test in his toolbox doesn't exactly make him a certified NDT expert.
No, it's not going to cut it, and the FAA has proposed a new AC out there that pretty much takes away penetrant from the mechanic, so you may want to look into that AC.
So again, this proposed, and again, we're going to say proposed AD, again, this is all just hearsay, but we're trying to get ahead of the curve, trying to inform aircraft owners, aircraft shops, mechanics, just what might possibly be coming down the pike. So again, we've had Brad in here on other inspections, a variety of different NDT type inspections. So specifically today we're going to talk about the Piper wing spars. The set of wings that we have with us today here are the wings off of the 1980 Piper Warrior restoration project. If you've been following those videos on YouTube, these are the actual wings that came off the aircraft. These wings have over 11,000 hours. This aircraft was used exclusively for flight training and flying club type operations. So this is exactly the kind of wing, the type of aircraft that the FAA is looking to find data on. So today we're going to actually go ahead and now these wings are off the aircraft. They're turned upside down. So normally these would be on the aircraft. You'd have the carry through, of course, the bottom of the fuselage. But for demonstration purposes, the wings are off. They're upside down. So we're actually looking at the lower spar cap. But we're going to see today what 11,000 hour wings look like. Specifically, we're going to concentrate on the outboard bolt holes, the forward and aft very outboard holes on the lower spar cap. So Josh, show us, if you will, what we're going to do here today.
Well, first we got our approved equipment that we got to use, and we got a cali standard we got to calibrate before we can do the inspection.
And real quick, if I can jump in, this machine has to be calibrated, I'm assuming, annually?
On an annual basis, and we're going to calibrate before we do the inspection. We're going to calibrate when we're finished.
So you have a test plate here to check the accuracy of the equipment before you even do the test. Then.
Right, and that calibration, that standard has the 30 thousandths inch corner notch that they're calling out in the proposed AD, so you can see what that indication looks like. You go ahead and put it in the hole, and so what we're looking for is that peak that's in the center of the screen, and what they want is anything that's half the amplitude of that will be cause for rejection. So that's our notch, that's our signal from a 30 thousandths inch flaw. Now he's got it in a hole that has no flaw in it, and you can see you got a nice flat line.
All right, so once the machine has been checked against the standards, then we're ready to go ahead and perform the inspection. Now again, if we were on the aircraft, you would be probing both through the carry-through and into the spar itself, correct?
Correct.
All right, so this will be just the spar only. We're going to do just the outboard holes.
That one's got a pretty substantial indication in it.
So what are we looking for? What indicates that there's a crack in there?
So what we're looking for is that peak in the center of that screen. When it comes up, the amplitude of it is telling us how big that flaw is.
Okay, so the larger the peak, the more of a flaw there is in the hole.
Correct.
And so that indication shows that there is little to no discrepancy.
Correct. And it would have to be half that height to be rejectable. So basically they're saying approximately 15 thousandths is a rejectable indication.
So it's a good thing these wings came off. This is exactly the type of flaw that the FAA is looking for. And this is on the forward side of the spar cap, on the lower spar cap, if you will. And that's where we found the crack. Now the other hole, the rear hole, seems to be okay then at this point. Good.
We're definitely seeing on the sample batch that we did for you earlier this year, we're definitely seeing a lot of damage that's caused in removing the fasteners. So it is extremely important when they remove those fasteners that they take extreme care in removing them so you don't damage the bore, because most of the damage that we're seeing is right at the edge of the spar where someone has nicked it with a punch or a drift or those sorts of things.
Now, Brad, one thing we touched on earlier when we were talking, getting this set up here, was the AD back in 1987, where they actually had you pull the wings off the aircraft, do a dye penetrant inspection, and then put the wings back on. That AD was very quickly rescinded and no longer in effect. But on this particular aircraft, on these upper bolt holes, you were talking about remnants of dye penetrant, if you will.
Yeah, one of my pet peeves that I've had throughout the industry through the years is back in the day they give red dye to anyone that could afford a can of it, and people used it and they didn't really know what they were doing. And even though that AD is that old, I still see remnants of red dye around the parts because a lot of people just sprayed that stuff on, without any care or no caution. And it seeps down and it gets in between the bolts. It gets in between the layers of skin. And the materials themselves are not really corrosive, but they are oil, so they will hold moisture in there and they will cause corrosion. So not a big fan of red dye. I wish they would completely do away with it.
So if a mechanic were to happen to see remnants of red dye, and we're looking at the lower, or the which would be the upper cap bolts, but you see a little bit of red dye peeking out from where the washer had been. If someone sees that, they should take a moment to wipe that down if possible.
Yeah, get in there with MEK something. Get in there with a solvent and try to get as much of that red dye out of there as you can. The bad part is the red dye is going to continue to creep into every crack and crevice it can. And here we are. I have no idea when this one was done, but 20, 30 years later, and it still has red dye present, and it's everywhere.
So one other item that we addressed on the 1980 Piper Warrior restoration project is not only replacing the wings, but also changing out the lower spar cap of the carry-through. This is in the fuselage. This is the lower cap to which the lower spar caps of the wing attach. We bought a brand new one from Piper, installed that in the carry-through box. But here we have the original one out of the aircraft. Again, 11,000 hours plus. Same wear and tear that the wings had. So Josh, let's go ahead and check these bolt holes also then.
And one of the other things, we're using an automated scanner. So that thing is spinning at a specific RPM that we choose. The actual inspection calls out a manual bolt hole probe. The disadvantage to a manual bolt hole probe is that you have to scan in 1/64th inch increments. So it'll be really time consuming to check all the different layers from the top to the bottom, where this type method we can check relatively quick because it's spinning.
So now how does this check out?
Good.
So the carry-through checks out fine, but we do have a crack in the spar cap of the wing itself. So lesson learned, one layer may be good, one layer may not be good.
Correct.
Wonderful. So here's another wing spar that we have, and this is out of a live project. This wing specifically came to our facility for a spar replacement. The customer had inspected it, determined that there was a crack in the bolt hole. While Brad and Josh were here, we wanted them to confirm that. So this is a right-hand wing here. Again, this would be the upper cap. We have the lower cap down here. Josh, go ahead and probe the one bolt hole, suspect bolt hole. So on here, on this particular bolt hole, we found that the spar itself is fine, but that the doubler plate backing up the spar cap has the crack in it then.
It does, and you can visually see it, and we're able to rotate. You can also see a lot of the red dye. I can still see red dye remnants everywhere throughout the area.
So this particular spar not only had dye penetrant at some point in its life, but again, as part of this inspection, the spar itself was probed. The spar itself was determined to be fine, but the doubler plate on the spar web was cracked. So again, a good catch on that. New spar going in the wing going back on the aircraft. So that's all for today's episode. I appreciate Brad and Josh taking the time to come visit us here and help give us a little more insight on the NDT process, specifically as it may apply to the Piper Wing Spar ADs. Stay tuned for further episodes from Airframe Components.